Alright guys, welcome to episode 10 of What the Tech. My name is Adam Lobo.
I'm Syed.
And yes, I am back in episode number 10, How Fitting 10, 10, 10, 10. Yes, I've been missing for 2 weeks. Just came back from MWC, that's one of the reasons. And I just did extend my trip a bit longer. And to explore a bit further in Barcelona and to have a mini honeymoon. And to also try out the Xiaomi 15 Ultra's cameras. Spoiler alert, amazing cameras. I feel like it's a huge contender and probably even better than a Vivo X200.
Wow, really?
Why? Because it's also a Leica. So I think the way you can just take a shot and just leave it like that is really amazing. I also find that the filters that Xiaomi has since the whole Leica collaboration has been great. So I'm going to be talking a little more about that during my whole trip in MWC, specifically in Barcelona. But before we move forward, Syed, what do we have for this week's news?
Okay, so we've got a few things. So OnePlus is killing off the alert slider.
Okay.
That's one thing, which kind of a surprise and a bit of a bummer. And we've also got some Pixel 10 leaks.
Okay.
So it's that time of year again.
Okay.
Leak time. Speaking of leaks, there's also another leak concerning the Apple Foldable. Not confirmed, but heavily rumored for God knows how long already. And so ASUS launched a couple of weird tech. And we'll talk about it later.
Okay. Let's start off from OnePlus killing off the alert slider. So according to the current boss, Mr. Pete,
Yes.
he was saying something along the lines of how he finds that the alert slider is no longer as useful and he wants to follow how Apple has done with the action button. So what is the context of the overall, what is it exactly on the alert slider and why did he plan to kill it?
So basically, he said that the alert slider has limited customization capabilities. So which is the main reason why he's killing off the alert slider. But I also think that it's cheaper to produce a button rather than a slider. And also, I do think that less mechanical parts. So you get a more, not to say a rigid phone, but more of a robust phone. And, if let's say they are going for IP ratings and whatnot. So I do think that it's useful in terms of that kind of capabilities.
That's interesting because I never thought of it as reducing cost. But now that you mention it makes sense because it's mechanical part.
Yeah.
But if you are following the similar action button like the iPhone's action button, it has that capacitive kind of feel to it. I would think that by having that kind of button, it will cost more. But yeah, is it because of the mechanical parts of the moving parts will cost more than a capacitive button?
It definitely will because the alert slider has a lot more moving parts and capacitive. I think capacitive sensors are getting a lot more cheaper nowadays. So it makes sense for a lot of brands to pivot towards capacitive sensors and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad considering the fact that the slider is pretty much synonymous with OnePlus nowadays. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I like progress, but I do feel that maybe they should have gone another route.
Yeah, I think when they had the alert slider, obviously they weren't the first, right?
Yeah,
obviously iPhones had the alert slider so much way longer than OnePlus did, and this was when Carl Pei was in the company.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that if they want to make a change, I feel like they should at least default it as an alert slider. That is one of the biggest criticism coming from a lot of people saying that they understand how they want to move forward, but I think it's a it's a good way of moving forward. But at the same time, if they defaulted the button to an alert slider, would be great.
Yeah.
At the same time, don't make it a one press thing. If they can make it as a press and hold, double tap, or triple tap, that is what I call by moving forward. You just don't make it to remap something.
Yeah.
And I don't think they are going to do nothing by making it into an essential key. I like MKBHD's criticism over the essential key, saying that, if it's multi-platform, that'll be great.
Yeah.
And Kalpi did a reaction video based on that, saying that, okay, he might look into that. So I guess this is the best things about how brands are listening to creators on the YouTube space, which is great. So I think the only way if OnePlus wants to move forward is to create several ways for remapping, like I said, triple press, press and hold, or any sort of way. Or imagine if they change it into a fingerprint scanner, it'll be kind of good as well. But yeah, I can kind of understand why there's sort of a backlash. But how about the uncles and the aunties of the world, though? Do you think that they would prefer this new remappable one, or they still prefer something older, like something like a proper switch per se?
Okay. First and foremost, I think kudos to those uncles and aunties who are actually using a OnePlus phone.
That's a very good point. I didn't think of that. Actually, when the moment I mentioned, I'm like, are they going to be using OnePlus phones? But yeah, good point.
But I mean, I think I don't think they would mind that much, considering the fact that a lot of uncles and aunties, especially the uncles and aunties I know, they don't really care about the advanced features of things. They're more like, okay, if this thing works, I want it, that kind of thing. So I guess if the button works, I guess maybe they wouldn't care. And I think a lot of people, it's sort of like the S-Pen on the S25 Ultra. Sure, a lot of people are disappointed at first when they remove the Bluetooth, but people get used to it.
Yeah.
So I think people will get used to it. And yeah, sure, yes, again, it's sad now, but people get used to it.
It seemed like the iPhone SE going into the iPhone 16e.
Yeah.
They changed it from the slider into the action button.
And
we never had any complaints about that.
Yeah, and the mainline iPhones from slider to action button.
Yeah.
So yeah, people are mourning the loss of the slider, but they're not complaining now.
It is about time that they move from the alert slider. But like I said, if OnePlus wants to think forward, I think if they could just make it more interesting, if they don't put a fingerprint scanner, which I don't think they will, but if they do make it more customizable, that way it can at least make sure that it's more useful.
Yeah.
Because when I like Nothing's approach of not making it a camera shutter button, to make it like a quick button or essential key, like what they call it. But if you're just going to limit it to only certain things, that's where I felt like, you shouldn't have done it then. OnePlus phones are great. Unfortunately, we haven't got our hands on the OnePlus 13. It is available in Malaysia to purchase, but is this thing called time? Because there's lots of smartphone releases. So unfortunately, we didn't get our hands on the OnePlus 13. It was available globally, hence why a lot of tech YouTubers have actually gotten their hands on it. However, if you guys are listening or watching, if you really want us to review the OnePlus 13, give your comments at the comment section below, because then at least I know that, okay, they are a real interest, and we will try to push that video as fast as we can. So that would be for OnePlus killing off the alert slider. Not a huge news, but I believe it is a news that matters to
it's quite
a lot of people. Yeah, because if OnePlus 13 is doing very well now, if you're going to include that, I think that would be a good way moving forward. Okay, what do we have next? Pixel 10.
Yeah, Pixel 10.
So tell me about that Pixel 10. Any changes? Is it the same? What's that story?
Okay, the Pixel 10 renders. Looking at the actual renders, there's not much difference, honestly. There's maybe slight difference. Apparently, there's the bezel is ever so slightly slimmer, and also apparently the curved sides are a bit more curved, slightly. But generally everything is pretty much the same. The from the camera bump, from the display size, and the type of display, I guess. No mention of batteries, so it's purely at a design standpoint at the moment. And yeah, there's really not much difference. I think that's a running theme for a lot of companies this year. Actually, I mean, even like the S25's main critiques is that it looks the same as the S24. Sure, okay, critique accepted, and I feel that even the Xiaomi 15 is also quite similar to the 14, right?
Yeah, very good point. I'm disappointed to see this because I thought that the Google Pixel is going to be one of those phones that will make at least a slightly different tweak or just a minor tweak at least. And I saw the renders, it looks the same. I don't care about the curves. I don't care about how the bezels change. People want different design change to differentiate that you're using a new phone.
Yes.
And it's not like an iPhone where you have the so-called iconic design. From far, you look at the 3 camera bumps, you know it's an iPhone. It sucks that a lot of people are following this path of doing it. Yeah. What's interesting is that only last week when you and Lihud was talking about the design, design change for the Xiaomi 14 to the 15, and I only went like, yeah, you're right. But at least there is a different look to it.
Yeah.
So like, for example, like we had 2 different units. One was when I was in Barcelona was the black color finish. It's okay. I'm not a huge fan. It looks normal. I like the 2-tone one. That one looks like a Leica. So that's the review unit that we ended up having as soon as done for the MWC. So at least there's a look change. Maybe the camera bump is the same, is fine. I like the Google Pixel 9 and the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. You know, still have the phone. I like the phone. We got the phone. But it's 10. It's like our episode 10.
Yeah.
You should be looking at a brand new design. Like, you know, when the iPhone 10 came out, it was a brand new design. When the S10 series, it was a brand new design. They should do a significant change in design to tell people, hey, this is our 10-year anniversary, not to follow the same thing. I hope that this rumor is just a rumor. But yeah, if this is the case, I think Google, you better do something about it. Celebrate your 10-year anniversary with something new rather than doing something the same. But what are your thoughts about them not changing? Is that, are you accepting it because a lot of people are doing it?
I personally understand why they're doing it because, again, like Samsung, they're not focusing so much on hardware per se. I mean, yeah, sure, they did some changes. They made improvements in terms of chipset, which I still am not. I'm still okay with Exynos because it's a pretty powerful chipset, regardless of the critiques. And I do think that they are focusing more on software, on AI especially. AI is not cheap. They have to set up their own servers. They have to set up their own models and whatnot. So that takes a lot of resources. And I kind of understand. But at the same time, yeah, I do think that, they should have changed something. Maybe play around with the camera bump. Maybe instead of across, maybe in the middle or, something like that. But I understand, but at the same time, I also understand that tech has plateaued a lot these past several years, because even if you look at the previous phones, like 2 years ago, you can see the design language is already there.
Yeah.
And compared to the phones now, the designs now. So yeah, as a tech guy, I understand, but also as a tech guy, I'm a bit sad.
Yeah.
There are not many changes made. So I don't know. I guess I guess experience is key lah nowadays.
Yeah, because I think if you want to change the design, the only thing you can change is the camera bump. What else can you change? At least nothing did with the 3A Pro. It looks new. Like it had that very interesting design. But whatever they do, if they're going to change, I just hope one thing, because one of the best things about this current camera bump, about the Pixel 9 or the Pro, is the fact that it doesn't wobble. Because I'm the kind of person who puts the phone on the table and then I'll type like tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure that I'm not the only one. I'm sure a lot of people do it. Because you can't do that on most smartphones. You can't do that on iPhone unless you have a case. You can't do that on a Samsung S25 Ultra unless you have a case. So I like to use a phone without a case. So yeah, I think design-wise, if they are not going to change the camera bump, what else are they going to change? Can they do a Xiaomi by maybe doing a matte finish instead, but having wireless charging at the same time?
Yeah, I guess the change that they could make is maybe just cosmetic ones, like different style of colors. And like Xiaomi did, I mean, like they have different swaths of different types of colors and whatnot. And you know, I guess okay, but then again, I read somewhere that the US market isn't too keen on those kind of color palettes, which is why you see iPhones, the Samsungs, the Googles all have very similar color palettes, all matte, all muted colors. You know, it's nothing bombastic. I mean, you don't see product red anymore, right?
Yeah, sad.
Yeah. So, that is the current taste of the US market, and I mean, like it or not, phone designs, phone whatever is dictated by the US market, and we just accept it. And but. That's not to say. I mean, China likes to do their own thing, and you see a lot of crazy colors from China or other non-US US companies. Like nothing is doing their own thing, man.
Yeah.
Like I am such a huge fan of what they're doing, and they're really going the left field, and it's working. It's like they're really, the fans are really eating it up, and I feel that's a good thing, and I do feel that a lot of other companies like the iPhones and the Samsungs and the Googles, they should do those things. I mean, okay, if you don't want to do it with your flagships, maybe do it with your mid-range. Like the recently launched Samsung A series. Maybe you could do those kind of colors, those kind of crazy colors, you know, because you're capturing the youth market, and the youth like things that are exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, that people are young-blooded, hot-blooded, you know. They're like things. They're like things, not to say strange, but you know, something that catches you. You know, and I don't think matte colors or muted colors are the way to go. So yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe the Google will do the same thing with the Pixel 9a or 10a, whatever. I don't know.
Speaking of coming out with very interesting colors, I think for the Nothing 3A, that was a huge surprise.
Oh, the blue color.
The blue color.
Yeah, I love the blue color.
You know how with their earbuds they came out the yellow?
Oh, yeah.
So I would think that, if they were to come up with a brand new color, they would come up with the yellow to match the Nothing earbuds, but they went with the blue instead.
Yeah.
So that was a huge surprise. And when we went for our briefing, I sat down there. I did not had any expectations for a brand new color. I kind of guessed that the leaks, that they had a gray color version, but the leaks had no blue color. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
There was no rumored blue color.
Yeah.
So that's why it's funny, because if the designs were leaked and the colors were leaked, why wasn't the blue color leaked?
Yeah.
The blue color threw all of us by surprise, coming up with the best blue color smartphone since the S25's navy. And it's so nice to a point whereby I just can't wait. I just like keep on looking at the back of the phone. And even when I posted the picture on our Instagram, a lot of people really liked it. It's like, oh my God, what phone is this? I think that's what a lot of smartphones should do. And I agree with you. They should look at coming up with more brighter, vibrant colors for the mid-range smartphones. and probably the Pro ones, like what iPhone does, right? Even though there are certain years whereby the non-Pro models use a bit more muted color as well. But yeah, I think that would be the best way to really differentiate between the non-Pros and the baseline models as well. So I think that is what people should do moving forward with that.
Yeah, I mean, you can still do those kind of matte muted colors and whatnot, but add the bombastic ones, so that there's a choice, and it's a differentiating factor. Yes, that's the word. Sorry, puasa. But yeah, so so that's I know the fact. I know that a lot of mid ranges, a lot of companies are positioning mid ranges so that they can like, okay, this is a budget flagship per se. I mean, you have good performance, you have good cameras, and they want to capture the look of a flagship. But it's a mid ranger. Regardless, it's still a mid ranger, and I do think it's a wasted opportunity for them to emulate the flagships too much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my point of view.
Okay, so let's just hope that the whole idea of these renders and these leaks are not completely true from a design standpoint, because pixel leaks have been very spot on for the past several years. So I think among all, sometimes they plan the leak on their own.
Yeah.
Funny stuff. Okay, the third one. So tell us about the third rumor, which is the foldable from Apple.
The long rumored foldable. So apparently, according to an analyst called Ming-Chi Kuo, he's actually quite a prolific leaker. I wouldn't say leaker. No, he's a prolific analyst who sometimes leak things.
Yeah.
But yeah, according to him, the Apple foldable is finally coming late 2026. Again, pinch of salt, because it's not, as long as it's not, it's not straight from the horse's mouth, take it with a pinch of salt, or maybe a fistful of salt, maybe a bucket full of salt, So, but okay, according to Ming-Chi Kuo, it's going to be Apple's true AI-driven phone. So, how would that work? I don't really know. Maybe they will finally get Apple Intelligence right, and this would be the phone to showcase that. So we'll see. I mean they said a lot of things about Apple Intelligence, but
yeah. And look, I agree with you that Ming-Chi Kuo has been one of the biggest source for leaks and rumors. Even people like John Prosser also, refers to him for the leaks and all. Yeah. The image which was given by him, I don't think that's going to be true.
No, it's basically just.
So that's one. Number two would be, he also mentioned about how there's going to be Touch ID return, dual lens camera, thin profile, advanced battery, new screen. 2026 is literally next year. Yes. Whether it's the end of next year, unless you tell me it's 2030, then I believe you. If you're going to tell me 2026, sorry, Mr. Kuo or Mr. Ming-Chi Kuo, I don't believe you. No way they're going to do the Touch ID return. Again, based on how we've been seeing, because everybody wanted a Touch ID return on a lot of things. Yeah. The only thing it came is like the iPads, like for example, iPad mini, and that's about it. A lot of people wanted that on the iPhone. It did not happen. Display-wise though, I really think not, because I think the first thing that they need to do is, of course, which, address the elephant in the room, which is to upgrade your 60 hertz screen to a 90 hertz screen at least.
At least, yes.
Before you go into that. And knowing Apple, they really need a huge time before they release a phone. And I don't think they're going to do something like, coming soon, like what Samsung's been doing, like coming soon and then release later. I think it's going to be a very long way before they even do this sort of a foldable design.
But then
And even, sorry,
No, it's okay.
but even if they do, so I don't think they're gonna do the bigger version. I think one area which they haven't tapped is the flip form factor. Probably if I had to choose which one I think would come soon would be that instead of the bigger form factor for them to go within that, because I feel like having a flip phone for an Apple iPhone would sell so much more, especially for people who like the flip form factor.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's male or females, it may be way more applicable for females as well, because I've been seeing more females having the flip compared to the fold. So I feel that if it's going to happen, it will most probably happen for the smaller size flip factor as opposed to the fold factor. You were saying?
Coming back to the point that you made about Apple taking their time on developing things. But yeah, sure, that's true. I agree with that. But let's go back to Apple Intelligence. They did announce it with the iPhone 15, but it only came out in October. So I mean, the full experience lah. So maybe there is a chance that Apple might do the but one more thing, that kind of thing. That, like how they did with the iPhone 10, iPhone X. Remember? People didn't really expect the iPhone X to come about. If I remember correctly, back then there were rumors, correct, that Apple were going to be introducing a new style, new design, and whatnot. But people didn't really expect them to do exactly what they did back then. So this could be that thing. This could be but wait, there's more kind of thing from Apple, because I think as much as Apple likes to do their own thing, they take their time and other things, but I do think that because nowadays a lot of companies, I mean even smaller companies like Infinix are coming up with foldables. So I do think that somewhere with the Apple higher ups, I do think that they are starting to feel a pinch, not the pinch, a pinch somewhere, somehow, and the fact that they should start looking at foldables. I mean, look at their closest competitors, Samsung, Google. They all have their own foldables, and I do think that it's not impossible. It might not be. Might not be 2026. It might not even be in 2030. But I do think that it is possible that Apple would spring that kind of surprise, spring that kind of Jack in the Box kind of thing. And whether or not it's good, that's a different story. But I do think that because of how the market is right now, and the fact that foldables are gaining a lot in terms of the market, in terms of the user base and other things. So it's not crazy for Apple to do it. But I do agree that Apple likes to take their time, and if they don't take their time, it's going to be again the Apple Intelligence thing. You can see that it's really not fully baked, but they did it nonetheless, and it got people talking. So it got people talking, it got people noticing that Apple is also on the AI boat. So yeah, maybe it's gonna happen, maybe not.
Because they did that, Apple Intelligence is coming, and it did not work fully when it was first introduced. I think they will be learning their lesson and not to do it the same, not to do it again. Then critics and reviewers will go like, oh, just like Apple Intelligence, they announced something which is coming soon. I don't think they're going to do it, because they have to learn from their so-called mistakes by introducing Apple Intelligence before it came out. And you were saying about how by now it's already finally out. I feel it's not fully integrated yet. I was surprised that Apple did a collaboration with ChatGPT, because I thought it's going to be on their own. But then again, with the amount of things that you need to do within AI, when Apple Intelligence was first announced, we never knew that it's going to be like, oh, we're going to be friends with ChatGPT. No, right? Even during the announcement, they never went like, oh, we are going to partner, or we are proud to announce that we are partnering with ChatGPT to create Apple Intelligence.
It's not just ChatGPT, no.
Exactly.
Gemini.
So, yeah. So now with that
Yeah.
rumor that Gemini is also coming together,
Yeah.
I was excited when they mentioned about Apple Intelligence because I thought it's going to be a separate thing.
Yeah.
But now it seems like it's going to be more collaborations, which is sad because we all know what Apple is capable of on their own. We are not sure what is happening behind the scenes. Maybe like some particular person on the software side of things are not doing his job or what, I do not know. But yeah, I was hoping that Apple Intelligence not only be powerful like Gemini, but also at the same time to perform independently because that's what Apple has always been great with the whole walled garden kind of thing.
Yeah.
The approach with having ChatGPT is still great because it goes like, would you like for me only then?
Yeah.
But I wish that it was fully Apple integrated, which I'm sure they will do a better job. Maybe they needed time. But because they needed time, that's where maybe they felt like, let's just release it together with ChatGPT. It could be a C1 modem situation
Yeah.
where we acquire first,
Yes.
4 years down the road, and then we have our own. I guess that's the reason. Maybe it's peer pressure versus coming up with something as soon as possible. But yeah, going back to that thing, 2026 is too fast, knowing Apple. And I don't think they're going to be announcing anything which is not ready and said coming soon.
Yeah.
One more, because there one more thing are all these things which is already available.
Yeah.
Apple Vision Pro, it was not announced and it was not there.
Yeah.
It was announced and it was there.
Yeah.
And like a handful of YouTubers did get a chance to try it on WWDC when they announced Apple Vision Pro. I don't think they're going to be releasing a hardware without having it ready at least.
Yeah. For Apple Intelligence, I do think that the partnership with ChatGPT is a necessity because they haven't I don't think they have their own AI model at the moment. And I do think they are coming up with it maybe in a couple of years' time, maybe 2-3 years. But at the moment, I do think that ChatGPT is here to stay for now, and which is also I do think that's also the reason why they are also including Gemini. And I did read somewhere on Reddit, I think, that they are actually looking at DeepSeek as well, which I don't think that's going to happen, considering that DeepSeek is very well integrated in the Chinese.
And also it's open source. I don't think that they want to go with open source.
But the fact that the rumor is there, I guess it shows that Apple really doesn't have their own AI model at the moment.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's going to end soon. It's kind of like the Intel chips on the Macs.
Yeah.
So they basically just use Intel chips until they can get their tech together. And once the tech is ready, goodbye Intel. And in this case with Apple Intelligence, goodbye ChatGPT, goodbye Gemini. And hello Siri AI maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely going to be something Siri related.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
Okay. What's the final tech news wrap up for the week?
Okay, this one is interesting. And it's something that I didn't expect, especially from ASUS.
Yep.
Because they came out with a monitor that also has an air purifier built in, which is really bonkers, because who would have expected that, an air purifier monitor? I mean, I shouldn't be that surprised considering the fact that a few weeks ago they actually announced an aromatherapy mouse. So it's all this whole well-being kind of thing, like an air purifier plus an aromatherapy. So Maybe it will, make you calmer while you game, or make you calmer while you work.
While your boss scolds you,
Yes.
it's like let me turn it up no more. Let me calm myself.
And the air purifier isn't well, according to the claims, it's not a half-assed thing. It's according to ASUS, it can they claim that it can eliminate up to 90% of airborne dust using nano ion technology. So it's not going to like clean the whole room, but for your desk, for your setup, it's supposed to work. Like 1 cubic meter. So yeah, that would be just enough for your own desk lah. Which, if it works, if it's true how they claim that it's going to work, wow. Okay, that's I would say that's a game changer kind of. I mean, especially in the office space, I do think that a lot of people would consider, because even the monitor itself, it's not a terrible monitor. I mean, like, it has up to 100 hertz refresh rate. It has it's pretty much a work and play kind of monitor, which is pretty. I'm really lost for words right now, because it's just this kind of weird tech is the one that that I miss with today's tech nowadays, because a lot of people are playing safe. And this is definitely not playing safe. This is you're going into different territory right now. So I don't know. I mean, there's no mention of it coming to Malaysia, but if it's coming to Malaysia, I would definitely consider getting one.
For me, this news, like what you said, now this is what you call about innovation. Right?
Yes.
Something that is totally unexpected, something that nobody asked for.
Nobody asked for it.
But it's here. And if you think about it, we review a lot of air purifiers and all. Where's usually an air purifier kept in your room? It's going to be like one corner.
Yes.
You don't have it next to you.
Yes.
When you use your monitor, it is next to you.
Yes.
Because if it's going to be far away, what's the point?
Yes.
The idea of having purification right in front of your face, although it's at a back area, I think that's a brilliant move by ASUS. And this makes me excited with tech.
Yeah.
So I am fully supportive over this fact that they want to do, and they're going towards this direction, while everybody's trying to become hardcore with the gaming and trying to come up with 3D screens and stuff. They say, you know what, let's just purify air. Your health is so much more important.
Yes.
So I'm all down with this. Like what you said, if it comes to Malaysia, I'm also going to be having it, because ASUS comes up with great monitors in the first place. Like their ProArt displays and stuff has been hands down one of the bests ever when it comes to what they've always released. Having an Ionizer in conjunction with me being a person who loves aromatherapy, I love this. I want the whole series like now. So yeah, that is what you call by tech news. I love that news.
Tech news, innovation. Oh man, that is...
Okay. For me, it's MWC. It came down. We've been having a lot of Buka Puasa events.
Yes.
Speaking of which, recently Syed has won a frame TV for Samsung. So yeah, insert woo at the back. So yeah, guys, if you want Syed to review Samsung frame TV, let us know in the comment section below. We'll review in his house. So when are you getting the TV?
I don't know yet, but they did just text me asking on my availability and my address. So soon, I hope. Maybe
It's
before
a 65-inch frame TV, bro.
Yes.
It's 8,000 over ringgit. Fantastic. Congratulations. So where are you going to put this? Are you going to put this in your room, or are you going to put it in a living room?
Nah, I'm just gonna put it in the living room. My room has no space.
Okay.
I have a 32-inch TV in my room, and that in itself is already taking up a lot of space.
Okay. Nice. Congrats once again. So yeah, guys, if you want Syed to give his in-depth review on 65-inch frame TV in his living room, you can see how his living room is done, or his home. Yes, let us know in the comment section below. he will shoot everything. Apit and Lehut and I'm not going to shoot. He's going to do it since he's TV.
Or you can come over and watch movies with me.
Ah,
or
okay
play
lah.
games. Come.
Okay, especially if you're a woman. Okay. So besides the Buka Puasa events, which is happening, I'm actually heading to one now. Just so you all know, just for context, that we are shooting our podcast on Thursday evening instead of Fridays, so that we give that time, because usually Fridays the news are slow. So just for context, you actually understand that. We have Xiaomi Buka Puasa. Speaking of which, for those of you who are watching and listening, in case I think we didn't wish you all, so selamat berpuasa, everybody on Adam Lobo TV except for Jefferson, I'm Muslim. So we are all. Even earlier, I was shooting my A roll. It was not easy. I was getting very irritated. So yeah, it's being patient. Okay, so we do have one launch though, which is the
Vivo V50.
Yeah, so the Vivo V50 is happening. The launching later today.
Yes.
Latest Xiaomi Buka Puasa will also kind of be like the soft launch for the Xiaomi 15 series, together with the aircon and all, which I've also talked about the
aircon,
MWC.
okay, yeah,
So that's what I'm going. So what do we have on the Vivo V50? Because personally, I don't know. I didn't even look into it.
So the Vivo V50 is pretty much a mid-range device, but don't let the word mid-range throw you off, because the V series has always been very photography centric.
Yeah.
So you should expect the same with this one. It's Zeiss. So and also they have a lot of camera tech packed into it, and I do think that you will get if you were to get the Vivo V50, you will get really great photography capabilities with the camera. So I don't have the phone yet. Obviously because I'm going to the launch.
Yeah.
So I do expect it to continue the V series legacy. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So Xiaomi, same like what I've mentioned in MWC, besides the 15 series being launched in Malaysia, they have also going to be unveiling their aircon, the AC, which we have it in our studio. We're going to be shooting soon. That's a whole drama by itself. Apit had to go through. Annoying, but that's life.
Will it be under the Xiaomi main?
No, good question. It's actually under the Mijia, which is the smart home brand. The difference is that last time the Mijia series was a separate app, which is a pain in the butt because you have to have two separate apps. Right now, it will be into the Xiaomi app and also at your notification center.
Oh, okay.
Similar like how Apple does it for HomeKit, where you just you can swipe for all your HomeKit devices.
Okay.
So the Hyper OS has that similar integration.
That's good.
So you can turn it on and off. It's interesting. I'm eager to also see the aircon's dehumidification properties, because we are putting it in our store per se. So yeah, I'm looking forward. Once they install, we can test that out as well. So that would be for that. This week we didn't had any community segment because we wanted to talk about MWC specifically. Since I came back, I know it's almost 6 days since MWC.
Yeah, a week, sorry.
So I think first and foremost, before we talk about Xiaomi, since I was there to cover Xiaomi stuff, Huawei had a huge freaking place. So usually when Lehut and I travel, we always cover the non-consumable smart items, like for example, like the technologies kind of things.
Okay.
So Huawei, this is the first time I'm seeing Huawei being all out and huge. I think it was hall 3 or something, whereby half of the hall is Huawei.
Wow, okay.
And they had a combination of this very techy stuff, like the data center and stuff, and they also had their devices as well. It was huge. But as usual, Huawei being Huawei, the one where you could go in, you touch the devices and all is fine. But in order for you to go into the data center side of things, you need to have a separate Huawei invitation. That has been the case every time. Lehut and I will have a separate thing, because although we haven't been to MWC for a long time, the last time was literally 1 week before the pandemic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the last time I went to MWC. That was when the second version of the Foldable was released, the Mate XS, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
They've always had like a separate badge thing for MWC in Shanghai. So there are two MWCs for those of you who do not know, one in Shanghai, one in Barcelona. And yeah, their area was huge. Other than that, there was also other booths from MediaTek.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Qualcomm had their own booth as well. I like MediaTek Showcase because they had, because sometimes we forget
Yeah.
that the Vivo and also the Oppo Find X8 Pro, both of them were using the MediaTek chipset because
the
everybody
instant
talks about
chips.
Qualcomm.
Yes.
People forget that MediaTek not only comes with budget chipset, they came up with very good
Yeah,
chipsets.
really good chipsets.
And like things like the AI reflection remover is still the best both on Vivo and Oppo. So it was nice to get a different perspective of what MediaTek does. They also apparently have their own CPE and the modems. They also have their own chipset for cars, which I had no idea. Because I was in Barcelona, I shot a bunch of footage. I'm going to create a reel on what are the highlights, which is really good. Honor was there, which I didn't care. I didn't even go in. Realme was there. And they released a similar style of what Xiaomi did.
Oh, the lens.
The
camera
lens thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I find that to be redundant because you need to use it with a tripod in case you did not know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
They didn't mention that at all.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things which people who probably went there to cover Realme that didn't wanted to say it.
Yeah.
So here am I saying it that you need a tripod with the lens. So that is the so-called form factor, and you need to attach it at the back of the phone
Okay.
physically, and you have additional things to worry about because you need a tripod.
Yeah.
So I felt like that was really a concept,
Yeah.
and I felt like I don't know why they decided to go towards that direction. Not because I went there because of Xiaomi, but Xiaomi killed it when it comes to hardware. Literally, they launched a car, dude. And remember, a long time ago, Sony released a car, and what happened to that?
Yeah. The one that you can control.
Yeah, exactly. And
PlayStation
the
5,
thing is that Xiaomi has not only launched a car, this is their second car, which is already on the road in China. Unfortunately, it's not going to be coming to Malaysia yet.
Okay.
But
Oh,
even
yet?
the first, hopefully it does not,
Oh,
because
okay.
even the first the SU7, right?
yeah.
The non-ultra. This is the first time I sat in it, and they went through a demonstration in English, thankfully, and it is a car which I want. If it's gonna be like if I had a chance to get an electric car now, I would get that car.
Wow, really?
It is so good. Sound system is amazing. The idea of I didn't go into detail, but for example, if you're sitting at the left back corner, and if you know Mandarin, unfortunately, if you say to open the door, it will know that it's you who are asking to open the door, and it'll open your side of the door. That
Okay.
for me is already mind blowing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it doesn't. So it's not just voice control, right? So if you say open the window in Chinese, it will open your window,
Oh.
not the other windows, because a lot of cars, when you say open windows, they'll
Yeah,
just
yeah.
open like probably all the windows or randomly, right? And it also does for opening the doors. And because Xiaomi is a huge ecosystem, you can control your smart home devices there. And if you leave your home, once it knows that you're not within the proximity of your house, it will turn off. You will create an automation
Wow.
to turn off and all. That for me is proper ecosystem control. And that's why I really love the Xiaomi SU7. And I feel that was not highlighted enough.
Do you
And
have footage of it?
yeah, I did have I posted up on Instagram stories
Oh,
to
okay.
show that. But my point is that they really killed it from a hardware perspective. And that modular thing, so the lens feels like a Sony lens, is a very light lens. And knowing the fact that that concept of a phone, it connects via the pins.
Yeah.
And like a mirrorless camera, you don't need to have a separate battery for it, and everything is it's just literally carrying the lens and the phone. And very fun fact, I didn't tell this to Apit and Lihud as well. When I went to MWC, I brought my Sony camera, but I didn't use it at all.
Oh, really?
Every single footage was shot on the iPhone ProRes.
Wow. Okay.
Because I felt that it's also because the weather is amazing, the lighting is perfect. And this, I think you all roughly mentioned this, and I think that it gets me excited because the so-called inventor of MagSafe was Apple when they did the MagSafe thing. Imagine if you have the similar style for iPhones shooting in ProRes. I can take my Sony camera and sell it now. Blackmagic still no, I still love the camera. It's amazing. But yeah, I think this technology of having this lens thing, I hope Xiaomi brings it to us as soon as possible because Xiaomi's log is ASUS certified.
Ooh.
For those of you who do not know that this log certification ASUS is the same logs which is used for movies.
Wow. Okay.
So it's not ProRes, but it's movie style, movie style of the log, which means that if this comes in sooner than the iPhone, I am going to be using Xiaomi's log with that lens. And what's good is that you can use your smartphone lens even if you want to, unlike the Realme where you need to only use that. I think this is a very good time to be alive when it comes to smartphone videography and also photography. The quality is really very, 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 very good. And yeah, I think Xiaomi has really killed it for MWC, not because I was there because of Xiaomi, because it's the fact. They came up with a lot of things.
But do you think? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But do you think the concept is consumer ready right now? Or?
No, it's not.
No.
According to them, it's not.
Okay.
I did ask them, obviously, I didn't ask them, and how soon. They didn't even want to give me a timeline. But Xiaomi is quick.
Yeah.
I think like no one expect them to do a car, like a new car, like 2 cars now. The new ASUS 7 Ultra looks like a freaking like McLaren. It's like McLaren and Porsche got married and then they came out with that car. It's a really good car. We couldn't go inside the car, but yeah, it's really exciting to see such a vehicle that have been launched as well. You did mention about Infinix and Techno. I did go in there, not to put them down, but you all know I'm super honest. But both Techno and Infinix Foldable felt extremely fragile and cheap. No one's saying that because the ones who went there, of course they can say that. I can say it proudly because it really felt cheap. Really? It's like flimsy. It felt, I will say this, even though I went with Xiaomi. Xiaomi's Fold is cheap. It feels cheap. It doesn't feel solid. The best foldable still for me is the Oppo Find N5. It really felt so fragile and flimsy. It's great that they came up, Techno and Infinix came out own trifold and all, but it didn't feel as solid as how Huawei did theirs.
Okay.
So, and I don't think someone is going to go out there and buy an Infinix or Techno foldable or trifold yet because the brand has not really established. Infinix has always been a smartphone brand which is a bit more on the gamer side of things. Techno is
Budget
up and
gamers,
coming. Unfortunately, we haven't tested out their devices yet. But first impressions on the trifold and their fold, and their foldable is that it feels very fragile and flimsy as well.
Well, I guess it's good that it's just a concept for now because it's not meant to be consumer ready, so it's just concept. But I mean, they're good ideas, but maybe they need to work on the build quality more.
Yeah. Okay, then the final thing that we want to cover about is the video releases.
Yeah.
It's been, because, I've been in MWC, a lot of reels been coming out. We've talked about the Xiaomi 15 and the 15 Ultra. The Pro is not going to be available in Malaysia. It's only in China. But I've also taken a lot of pictures using the baseline Xiaomi 15. Camera is also really amazing. Feels good in the hands, as cliche as it sounds. But yeah, the latest video that we released was the iPhone 16e. Watch that video if you haven't. But in a nutshell, it's a very good phone. But as Said and I has agreed in the video as well, that if it was 2,799 ringgit, that will be very competitive. But again, it's an iPhone.
Yeah.
And not every iPhone is made for y'all.
Yeah.
Every certain iPhones are made for the uncles and the aunties and all. And in the end of the day, like what you say, what I've said, is an iPhone.
Yeah.
It's going to sell, and it will sell well. When I went to Barcelona, when I went to the Apple store, a lot of people were all over the iPhone 16e. I'm shocked. And because it's an iPhone, it's the most affordable iPhone. Like the SE, it will sell very well. So that is the conclusion. We have already reached like so far ahead. I guess this is what happens when I disappear for 2 weeks in a row. Thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in. We are so happy to know that we are still going on. It's episode 10. Like I said, we're going to be here for life. And if you have any suggestions, we appreciate the comments coming, especially on a community post, because whenever we post something there, the comments have been really great.
Yeah.
Very interesting, sarcastic comments. It's fine, as long as there's comments as well. With that, we'd like to conclude episode 10. My name is Adam Lobo.
I'm Said.
And we will catch you guys next week.
Bye-bye.